Hey everybody, it's Gordon. Welcome back to the shop. This is going to be a screwed up video. This is one that I have deleted some significant portions of prior to editing, and then I had a business trip and I got super busy, and now that I've gone back and tried to piece this thing together the way I normally do, I am missing some chunks, and unfortunately it's a really good one too, because today, as you saw with that opening photo, I was going to talk about a Stanley No.1 tote repair, and the star of the show, of course, is this little guy that's sitting here, and he looks mostly whole. And I think if we looked at it today at a glance, it's got some remnants of some kind of a sticker. It's got a lot of patina or distress marks on the right hand side, which kind of either tells me somebody was wearing a ring or however many times this thing was used. One side is appears to be in very good shape in terms of original finish and smoothness. There's some paint splatters there, but this side, for whatever reason, just shows a lot of wear and a lot of dings and dents, and it's shown its age very well. But at a glance, now we would say he's mostly whole. He's been restored. The horn, we decided initially to just leave it. We're going to see how that plays out. It can be done. We can restore the horn and give it the same distressing and same coloration, and make it look like the shape is 100% again. But at the moment, it's really got kind of a cool look. There's no glaring flaws with it. I'm kind of hiding the bottom from you for a minute, but again, this is the one that's in that opening photo, and it was missing a huge chunk. And then, in fact, there was a crack right through the center, stress crack, and as I flexed it a little bit, it snapped right in two. So he's got a mid-body break, and he's got a big chunk of material missing completely, and we've taken care of both of those, and I think it came out very good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to throw the video up, the pieces that I still have, and I'll kind of talk my way through it. And again, I apologize for screwing that up. I'm using a Stanley No.1, of course, for fit and to make sure that we're on par. There's some work that was done on the bottom, of course, so that will be seen in the video. I'll talk through that a little bit. And again, I apologize. I didn't want to throw this thing away in terms of the segments that I have, just because there was some effort that was applied to try and bring this to you. Trying to share a little bit, talk about techniques. So I will talk about the files and the tools and the method that I used to put this guy back together. And you've seen the before photo, and now you've seen the after presence. And the only good thing in all of this is I apologize that I deleted it, but guess what? Right on the bench next in line, we have another Stanley No.1. So this guy's got the full horn on it, of course, but almost the identical break, missing a big chunk. We're going to restore that, and we're going to graft in some Stanley rosewood from another donor plane. And I will promise you I will not delete video, and I'll pay more attention to what I'm doing. But there it is. So there's our opening segment. Unlike most of my videos, I'm going to start off with the finished product and then just throw up some clips, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of something out of it. We'll call it a salvage job. For this repair, I'm going to go ahead and use a 5-minute epoxy. And I also add color, and this is a concentrate, so it's a resin concentrate, and we just need a tiny, tiny dot to make this work. And we're going to use a very small amount. Now, normally for, this is what I'm calling, an appearance repair, or museum quality repair, where I know the person's not going to put this #1 to use, so I don't expect a lot of stress on this, and we could get by with a CA glue, or she's a white glue, and almost any adhesive to put this together is going to do the job. But we've got a couple things on the bench here going, so we're just going to go ahead and do my normal epoxy. And then for color, I just set a dot outside, and you can tell how small that is. You need a really, really small amount to add color to this. And watch what happens to my clear epoxy. And we just add a dot. Boom. It almost takes on a black look. If you've seen me do this palette before, sometimes I'll add a lot of color on one side and keep a coffee light color on the other, and then use that epoxy just so I'm always trying to keep in tune with Mother Nature here, where things aren't pure colors and straight lines. I like variation, and it helps disguise our repair. So in this case, I'm going to leave a margin. I don't want a ton of squeeze out because I'm leaving the patina on this guy. We are not sanding or messing with the outside surface. We're going to try and leave as much as we possibly can and give it the appearance that it's made it the last 100 years on its own, in one piece. And I'm thinning this out. I don't want a lot on there. If I put it on heavy, you're going to guarantee a lot of squeeze out, and we don't want that. And then also, I do wet both surfaces. It is epoxy. I don't need to do this, but it always makes me feel good to press some material into the pores on both sides myself while it's open. And you'll notice I didn't do my normal scratch on the inside of this. I didn't have to remove material per se. I love this fit. It's a nice tight bond. I think we're going to be in really good shape. And I know this is going to be a shelf queen. So we're not going for maximum strength here. Okay. There we have it. We're going to put him together and put it under clamp pressure. And I'll do that just outside of frame. That is. And so I'm just going to have to wrap this one up. But here's where we are. Let's just kind of do a recap. We started off with this #1. And if you remember and kind of roll back in the video, it was missing a big chunk here. And what I've done is made a fixture, and we've grafted it in. And because we're trying to, this is one that I'm calling museum quality. We're trying to graft this in without any evidence, so to speak. So as you can tell, as I kind of roll this in the light, what I've done is I put some additional distress marks in this and kind of added where the rosewood was replaced. Now, in the back, we had a blowout too. There's a chunk missing. We've taken care of that. And again, I'm careful not to make that look like it's brand new and have a different color and have a super smooth texture. And then it was cracked all the way through. And then certain light at a certain angle, and because I know where I'm focused, I can see evidence of a repair. So I'll give this one an A- with regards to what's going on here on this crack. However, given the importance of this little guy and that it's a #1, I'm careful not to overwork it. Again, I don't want to remove any of the age and the beauty. I've added some distress marks to try and make it blend right. But here's where the telltale sign comes in. And again, with a professional review, if we were to pull this plane apart, I would look at this in the bottom and I could clearly see that these are not the same wood. In fact, as I zoom in here, kind of give you a close-up, the original material, which is here on the right, had a bigger dimple, I'll call that, and that's a registration mark for the little tab that sticks up on the sole of the plane. It seemed big in comparison to these other No.1s, so I just opened this up a little bit to try and give it, kind of tighten it up, but I didn't add material. And then the other thing that was a little peculiar about this one is it had this big scallop cut out of it, and I went ahead and did that too, to, again, not to try and mimic or match it, but I went ahead and opened it up a little bit. So as it sits now on the plane, as we put this back on a No.1, again, the idea is we're not trying to fool anybody, but I really want to restore it. So that's where we are. I'll talk a little bit about what I did with some of the tools, and that is, maybe I've spared you an extra 10 minutes of filing, rasping, and prep, but I have a couple different things that I use. I love these little, detail sanding sticks. It just uses a simple abrasive, and I can rotate it to find a clean spot. I also have some fairly standard, inexpensive, files that I use with a single cut and a double cut. Something that you haven't seen yet in any of my videos, I do use diamond rasps as well. And these are going to be 150, 200 X, and I've got in different shapes. So I have some crescent shapes on the back to give curves. I've got a nice little point. I've got flat as well. And let's see, I'll give you a label here if you want to see what's going on. So that's 150X equal sided diamond needle file. And why I use these is that it's essentially like, I don't know, maybe a nail file, for doing pedicures and manicures, but it's not. This is a commercial grade diamond file, meant for manufacturing and detail. But the grit is so fine and it has such a nice cut that I'm able to remove material with a rigid back, a rigid backer, and it's a nice stiff file. But I can remove material, unlike with sandpaper. If you were to use a piece of abrasive or sandpaper with your finger, something like this. These are just strips of sandpaper, commercial grade again. If I were to use something like this and I use the back of my finger as a backer, it's going to follow a contour. You're still going to scallop and move along. So again, one of the points in using rigid tools like this is that I can take a really fine detail and shape the material that I want to. So I am sorry. I apologize for screwing this one up. But I think, as you'll see, we finished our project. I think it came out pretty good. We're able to leave the sticker, the paint splatters, and we talked about replacing the horn, and we decided not to. So on this one, for now, I guess is the statement. If you look at my No.1 that's sitting here, and I've already kind of prepped this for the video, the No.1 does have a horn on it, and we seem to be missing that here on this little guy. So as I line those up, you'll see that there's a fairly significant amount of material that's missing. Now, again, do we want to go ahead and do that? I'm going to say for the moment, no. We're just going to leave them. And I like the character. It's got a really nice patina and age on the top. And if we decide to continue on and add this back in, we can certainly do that. We do have something to copy. If we end up doing the horn, I'll be sure to include that as a separate video. But there's a No.1. Now we got 3 of them sitting here on the bench. I'm going to shoot the full video on this repair. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend. Post any comments, questions, concerns that you have. If you're interested in information on diamond files, I don't have it readily available. I can look it up as well as you can yourself, but I'm always willing to share. and talk to you about the tools that I have and the methods I use. So until next time, this is Gordon. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.